Before I tell you what happened, do me one small favor. If you love twist-heavy, emotional, true-to-life stories about love, betrayal, and the kind of heartbreak that changes a person forever, make sure to like this video and subscribe. You won't want to miss the stories that come next. I used to believe betrayal was something that happened to other people. Friends of friends, strangers on the internet, couples who fell out of love. I never thought it would crawl into my own home, sit at my dinner table, and wear the face of the man I loved for 12 years. The night everything changed was a Wednesday. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic. Just a quiet evening in late September, the kind where the sky turns peach near the horizon and the air carries that early whisper of fall. My husband, Mark, was late coming home again. That was the first crack. At first, I didn't think much of it. He'd been working long hours for months, and every time he walked through the door, exhausted but smiling, I convinced myself it was temporary. Just a rough quarter, he would say. Things will settle soon, he would promise. But promises mean nothing when the person making them has already broken far bigger vows. I was waiting at the kitchen counter, stirring a pot of chili that had already simmered too long. I kept glancing at the clock. 6:48, 7:03, 7:29, 7:51. Each minute pulled something tight inside my chest. I didn't know it yet, but betrayal doesn't arrive suddenly. It starts quietly, like a hairline crack in glass, spreading beneath the surface until the whole thing shatters with one final tap. Tonight would be that tap. At 8:14 p.m., I finally heard his car pull up. He walked inside smelling faintly of cologne he didn't usually wear. That was crack number 2. He kissed my cheek, barely, the way you'd greet a distant cousin, not the way a husband greets his wife. And when he sat down to eat, he kept checking his phone, face lighting up with texts he tried to angle away from me. I remember staring at him, really staring at him, and thinking, who are you right now? When did I stop recognizing you? After dinner, he went to take a shower. His phone buzzed again, and this time, I made the mistake that became the truth I couldn't unsee. I picked it up. I wish I could tell you that something in me hesitated, that I debated whether going through someone's phone was right or wrong, but the truth is simpler, pettier, and more painful. I already knew something was wrong, and part of me wanted proof, wanted the clarity that comes with heartbreak. The message on the lock screen said, "Last night was unbelievable. Same time tomorrow?" followed by a heart I'd never once received from him. It felt like someone reached inside my chest and squeezed. Everything around me blurred, like I'd stepped underwater. All I could hear was the pounding of my own pulse. And the worst part? I wasn't surprised. Not truly, because betrayal rarely happens out of nowhere. Your heart always knows before your brain catches up. For a long moment, I just stood there, clutching his phone in a hand that wouldn't stop trembling. I could have unlocked it. I knew the passcode. I could have dug deeper. But that one message was enough. It told me everything. By the time he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, humming the same tune he always hummed when he felt good, I had already changed. Something inside me hardened. I placed his phone back on the counter. He walked past me, kissed the top of my head absent-mindedly, and said, "You okay? You look pale." If he'd looked me in the eyes, really looked, he might have seen it. The storm gathering. But he didn't. he never did.
I didn't confront him that night. I didn't scream or throw plates or demand answers. I only watched him as he fell asleep next to me, one hand tucked under his cheek, breathing softly like a man with nothing to hide. That was the moment I realized something devastating. He wasn't sorry. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't think I'd ever find out. And somehow that hurt more than the betrayal itself. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory from the last 12 years. The road trips, the holidays, the mundane Tuesday nights eating pizza on the couch, trying to figure out when he stopped loving me, trying to figure out if he ever really did. By dawn, I made a decision, not the one people expect. I didn't decide to confront him. I didn't decide to leave. Not yet. Instead, I decided to watch, to listen, to pay attention. Because when someone betrays you, the truth doesn't just reveal itself once. It reveals itself over and over until you can't pretend anymore. Over the next weeks, I noticed everything. The late nights, the sudden gym routine, the new shirts he claimed he found on sale, the way he smiled at his phone, a smile he hadn't given me in years. Every small lie was a stone thrown at the foundation of our marriage. But the moment that broke me, the moment that ended everything, came on a Saturday morning. We were supposed to go to his parents' house for brunch. He claimed he had a quick errand first, something about picking up dry cleaning. I followed him, not because I wanted drama, but because I wanted truth. And the truth was standing front of a coffee shop, wearing a red scarf and smiling like she owned the world. She hugged him. He hugged her back. Too long, too comfortably, too familiar. I watched from my car as he brushed a strand of hair from her face, the same way he used to do for me. They walked inside hand in hand, and just like that, 12 years of marriage folded itself neatly into a single, undeniable fact. My husband loved someone else. I didn't confront him at the coffee shop. I didn't storm in or create a scene. Instead, I drove home, packed a suitcase, and placed my wedding ring on the kitchen counter, right next to his phone. When he walked in 2 hours later, humming again, carrying a box of pastries he probably bought to erase guilt, his smile disappeared the moment he saw the suitcase. "What's this?" he asked. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I simply said the words that had been sitting in my throat for weeks. "I know." He froze, and for the first time in months, he really looked at me. His face went pale. He opened his mouth to speak, to explain, to lie, to beg, to do whatever guilty people do when the truth finally catches them. I didn't let him. "I know you don't love me anymore," I said softly, "and I deserve someone who does." He stepped toward me, but I stepped back. "You threw away our marriage. All I'm doing is leaving the pieces on your side of the floor." He didn't chase me when I walked out the door. That told me everything I needed to know. Starting over wasn't easy. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't empowering for a long, long time. Grief doesn't follow a straight line. Some days I felt numb, some days angry, some days strangely free. But betrayal taught me something important. The person who breaks you is rarely the person who can fix you, and healing doesn't come from closure. It comes from choosing yourself again and again until the broken pieces don't cut anymore. A year later, I'm not the woman who cried herself to sleep beside a man who didn't love her. I'm not the woman who checked the clock, waiting for someone who wouldn't come home. And I'm not the woman who ignored the truth because she feared being alone. I'm someone stronger,
Someone softer in some places, sharper in others. Someone honest, with herself, finally. And if you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever had your heart broken by the person who promised to protect it, here's the truth I learned the hard way. Betrayal doesn't define you. Survival does, and rebuilding does, and choosing yourself every single day does. And one day, the hurt becomes a story. Not your whole story, just one chapter. If you want more stories with raw emotion, real twists, and endings that stay with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need them.